Today, welcome back. Today is for all of you who are still getting their feet under them, being at home a lot. Talk about managing our relationships while doing it. I'm Keith.
And I'm Rodney. Hey, and this is Daily Chronicle, where I sometimes have to yell at my dogs because they're rolling around in the dirt. Hey, Chance, thank you. And we also talk about the things that we're doing on a daily basis. And we really, we started doing this. We were like trying to make a catalog for ourselves. And then we were like, oh, we should do this for our daughters. So have like a video journal. And then we were like, why don't we put it on the interwebs so that we can share it with y'all and build a community around it? Because there's a lot of it where we're just seeking and we're just trying to find answers. So, hopefully y'all can help us with that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about community or relationships during COVID.
Let's background this. So I was watching, I've been following the news.
You're watching Tiger King?
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of tension at home, right? For a lot of people. I mean, after all, you're stuck at home, working from home.
A lot of QT.
You got a lot of time, and when you're not used to it, maybe you leave the house for 10 hours a day. Maybe like you get into that rhythm. All of a sudden, that rhythm is shocked, no matter how much you love somebody. And at the end of the day, I've been working from home for 10 years. I've been working at home with my wife for, full-time 3. And a little bit longer intermittently throughout the week. So figured it'd be, you've been working at home for a long time too. Figured it's something we could throw out there because it's a fairly steady thing. But I also wanted to get your take on this too. So specifically, you have a closer transition to a lot of people because you would go into the office a lot. You would separate, you would go out to lunch. We've talked about maintaining connections during this time, especially with COVID. So how have you managed that transition to like full-time exposure to
really poorly?
Yeah.
Really poorly in general. And because of it, I've taken some personal time away from work so that I can just focus on family. It's just hard. Like, I'm an okay, and I was gonna say I'm an okay communicator. I think I'm a poor communicator, especially with people I'm really close to, and like family.
It's funny. So we talk about compassionate conversation. You teach the thing you need the most, right?
Yeah, no, and I think this is something to talk about. Like, family is definitely a different animal.
It totally is.
And I'm not saying that to say it's an excuse. I think it's just the scenario is just so different. Like, there's so many different factors that weigh in, which I think we should talk about. Not here, but because of that, the increased time, it's increased time to misinterpret and be misinterpreted. And for our situation, sleep isn't happening, so emotions are on edge, and it's just like any little thing. It's like that any little thing could cause an eruption times a lot. And so I decided to step back and take some time. And even with that, like I say, I haven't done it well. I think I'm being hard on myself. I think actually our communication has really improved as a team unit. And one of the areas we noticed it the most is in our soon-to-be 3-year-old. Like, she's learned so much at daycare and through the amazing people she's been around, but like being at home, she just like new vocabulary and just like concepts. Like, where are you getting this? And it's like, oh, she's getting it from us, and that's super cool. So that's on the family relationships. External relationships, well, I'll get to that in a second. What about you for family?
Yeah, I think that's the important thing for today is the family. Just from our experience, I think one of the things that we've talked about this before as it relates to working from home is setting your boundaries as far as your space. But like, depending on how the dynamic is, you may be at home working from home, your spouse may be full-time taking care of the kids, and so space becomes a little more nebulous and it's a little more difficult. Like, because we both work from home, we set out from the very beginning. It's like, this is your workspace, this is my workspace. So she claimed what is her workspace, and we've built it up over time.
She put a flag down?
Basically, right? Like, but she transforms it because she works actually from the bedroom, and she transforms it so she's got this whole office set up.
So
Now,
does that give her issues with like sleeping in the bedroom, or
no,
she because
no.
she transforms it, it's different headspace?
Yeah, I think it's just the way she is. Like, she's just very practical, logical, and bedtime's bedtime, so it doesn't matter where bedtime is. But
Get it?
there's that component of it, like you talked about communication, but really establishing just setting that space, and over communicating on things. But the space should be, if it can be, right, I know not everybody's fortunate to have it, should be separate. Like,
Mhm.
even if it's a closet, like, set up your closet, and put your dog outside, but set up your closet like that can close you off in a way from that, because it just gives you a boundary that says, this is my space. If I'm in here, I'm in here, right? And I've found that to be the absolute number one thing, because like, I come to my office and it's where I am for 8 hours, like, this is it. This is my space. It gets interrupted, but it's still, it allows me to be really, really productive. And it keeps our relationship strong, because we're, we respect the spaces of each other.
Hey,
So, and obviously we can't talk, about what dogs do in the relationship, right? They get in the way, they bark, and they're going to yell. But yeah, I think in summary, this is a very time period specific thought. We've been doing this a while. Would throw something out there. There's a lot of information out there about working from home, but this particular piece of information, I don't know if I've seen a lot of stuff out there. So we thought we'd throw some insights together, and but in summary, like, obviously communication's always the thing. Set your boundaries, but establish a space that separates you, and be okay with it, and be intentional about it, during the times that it's necessary, and and just make it so that the interaction of the overlap of space is similar to that it is on a regular day when you leave the office. It's just, you're not leaving,
I agree
you're
with all that.
finding it at home. But
Yeah.
what do you do?
So the
Like,
task.
if,
Yeah.
yeah, like, what's your trick, especially if, whatever your circumstance is. Would love to know what your trick is for everybody else to learn from.
Yep.
All right.
Catch y'all next